All right, we are live. Big day, big news after practice. It is SNL. Andrew Locker, Cody Stutes are here with you. Shout out to everyone in the chat. Shout out to everyone following along with us as game week continues. NFL season begins today, so happy New Year as well. But let's start with the big news that happened after practice, and we'll kind of work our way back to. I learned something today at practice, at least after practice. And some of the other observations that perhaps we had. But Adam Schefter's reporting Christian Kirk will be out at least a week, maybe more. He says that the Texans will likely be, quote, cautious with him. Look, I don't want to overreact to just a week or a week plus. But when you factor in that the biggest concern about Christian Kirk when the Texans traded for him was availability. And before they even play a game, he's not going to be available week one. That's pretty concerning. And it's not based on just this information. It's based on what was previously thought. So I don't think this is a hindsight concern. I guess being cautious is the way to go. You probably don't have a choice with a guy who's had the recent history that Christian Kirk has staying healthy, especially with the soft tissue thing. But I think this is pretty concerning that he's already going to be missing games before you even step on the field.
Yeah, a collarbone issue a couple years ago, had a core issue last year, and now he's got a hamstring issue. And it seems like injuries just linger with Christian Kirk, and this man cannot stay healthy. And when he's healthy, he's a productive football player, but he's not healthy. And that was your concern when Christian Kirk was added to this team, that you weren't going to have the availability. And here you are, week one of the season. I mean, hurt in the preseason, not going to play for the first week, maybe the second week. And it feels like the way that Schefter talked about it, best case scenario is season debut against his former team in week 3, it feels like.
Yeah, and that's best case scenario. We never know with Christian Kirk, and now it's a Jaylen Noel situation where probably eventually you were gonna head in that direction anyways, but sooner rather than later, it's not like he has the luxury of feeling his way into things. It feels like you're gonna need him to step up relatively well. We are talking about, though, because Berrios is out as well, we are talking about the Big 12 Special Teams Player of the Year, and a guy who had just a massive amount of production in the slots. So when a lot of times whenever you make luxury picks, and I consider Noel to be a luxury pick, it means that he has a massive amount of talent. And that is the case with him. He has a massive amount of talent out of the slot, and he has a massive amount of talent when it comes to punt returning. I almost wonder, I don't think this is the case with Christian Kirk, but I do wonder, I think there's a slight possibility we don't see Braxton Berrios on the field. Like if Jaylen Noel goes out there, or even Tremont Smith or someone else goes out there and effectively returns punts, and let's say that Dameon Pierce is effectively returning kicks, I don't know how often you even have to have Braxton Berrios active. And this is one of your pet peeves that you seem to complain about every practice. And I think you'll admit this. They only have 2 tight ends that are active right now. So when you have 7 wide receivers, one of them, his skill is to return punts. We saw it last year with Steven Sims. There was probably a higher upside with Noel to begin with. Berrios was kind of the safer guy, but there's a chance that we don't see Braxton Berrios active this year if he doesn't hurry up and get back. And I don't think that's the case with Christian Kirk. I still think they're going to use multiple slots, but it's concerning when the biggest concern that you had about a guy appears before you even kick off the season.
Yeah, if Noel go out there and give you enough hit at punter, at punt return and kick return that you don't need Berrios, that'd be a nice luxury once Christian Kirk gets back, and then you can repurpose Berrios' roster spot to something else, and you can keep a special teams ace like, British Brooks, or keep that extra linebacker or whatever it is on your roster elsewhere. You don't have to worry about it from that standpoint. But I mean, you walk in there to week one with one punt returner from the consistent punt returner group and one slot receiver from the consistent slot receiver group. That's less than ideal. And that one player just happens to be a rookie. Okay, trial by fire. Let's go. Let's see what you got.
Well, I'll say this. luckily for them, Noel fell to him, because if they didn't have either one of those guys and they didn't have Noel, then who knows what the hell they would do. Maybe that would mean John Mechie would still be around. I've seen some hilarious just hindsight with the John Mechie trade. I still have no problem with the John Mechie trade. He was going to be WR7. So I don't see any issue with the John Mechie trade. I've also seen people say, now Silas Bolden returning kicks, and I don't really think that that's a thing that you immediately throw him out there as well, and unless you just think it's a super skill like with Berrios. But I don't look at that either. Who knows what they think? But
we also have to think about the fact that your other your two promotions are kind of spoken for. I would tell you that it's probably Harrison Bryant to be your third tight end, and my assumption would be that it's Miles Bryant to be another body in the secondary. Like, so can you even think about Bolden when you need those other two guys? You
no,
only get two promotions.
no, I think that's a little bit silly. I would not anticipate that. Let's go to the super chat here on SNL, reacting to the Christian Kirk news and some stuff that we learned today during practice. There are some obs. You ain't never hate. Swarm. Jared M says Pete Prisco said, "Oh, I don't need to read any more of that. Appreciate you for this." No, I'm just kidding. Pete Prisco said on PMT today that CJ will be the least improved player in the NFL this year, and Big Cat agreed. Do you mean them? What do you mean least improved? Like he's going to be the exact same?
I don't know. I mean, the last time anybody cared about what Pete Prisco said, the internet wasn't a big thing, and I bet you Big Cat's watched approximately 0 CJ Stroud games outside of the time
they have him on. They have him on as a joke.
Yeah,
like it's a big joke. But I don't know what the least improved player. So he doesn't think that he's going to improve very much. I mean, possibly. Who knows? We don't know. He's got a new OC. He's got new receivers. One of his veteran receivers is going down. He's got the questions on the offensive line. Like maybe there's not much of a jump. I don't know what least improved means, though, to be honest with you.
Well, if he is indeed the least improved, thank God they have Graham Mertz.
Okay. HDAV Traveler on the soup says, "Good afternoon. Good afternoon." Me and Migo.
Traveler.
Good afternoon, my friend HDAV. So replacing Christian Kirk, I think it's very simple. Jaylen Noel steps up. They probably elevate a tight end. And from a punt return perspective, you have a guy who's been very solid at returning punts back there. The kick returner is going to be Dameon Pierce. And we'll see how that whole thing looks as far as the slot guys. I will say, one of the things that I was kind of looking the most forward to was multiple guys in the slot. It's been a thing that we've been talking about for probably 6 months now. We will not see that. And that was an element that I was really looking forward to. But I will say this, as far as a test for Nick Caley, I thought there were multiple tests that he was going to face. By the way, breaking news, Nick Caley does believe in halftime adjustments. I asked him today about adjustments. He does acknowledge that halftime adjustments do exist, which is a new thing. That hasn't been the case the last couple of years.
Damn it, Bobby.
But he does believe in them, and he believes very strongly in them. But now he's going to – I always wanted to see like how an OC would handle missing someone on the field. Like Bobby Slowick with Nico Collins was out, he would try to have Robert Woods do what Nico Collins did. Like it was kind of weird. We'll see what happens with Nick Caley and what it looks like when he's missing 1.5 guys on offense. I mean, Berrios half a man. He's just not a big offensive player.
I am interested to see if there's going to be some moments where we see Jaden Higgins drop down into the slot. He did that at Iowa State, and Xavier Hutchinson can do it if you needed him to. And it allows you to mix and match and be tough to predict if you're Nick Caley, though he kind of downplayed that. It's like, it doesn't matter if you know what they're doing or if you knew what they did in the past, because nobody knows what anybody's doing in week 1. So add to the mystery here, I guess, with no Christian Kirk.
Yep. Christian Kirk, we hardly knew you. Ice up, man. Ice up. God, that's a toughie, man. That's a tough situation.
Turns out Captain Kirk needed saving.
Captain Kirk has not arrived.
Captain Kirk, can you save me?
Nope.
Captain Kirk, I wanna have your baby.
Nope.
Captain Kirk has arrived.
Nope.
I repeat, Captain Kirk has arrived.
He has not. He has not. Now, this is a question that Cody Stutes has, and I thought this was a very good question as a result of this Christian Kirk stuff. Does this make Jaylen Noel the second most important rookie? Is Jaylen Noel now the second most important rookie? And if you don't think Ariante Ursary is the most important rookie, then just sit on the sidelines here. We're not even going to entertain you. Does this make Jaylen Noel the second most important rookie? Yes or no?
It does for me. It does for me because not only is he going to be the slot receiver that you're going to rely on here in a offense that wants to get rid of the ball as quick as possible, he's shown he can go out there and win quickly and get open. He's also going to help you on special teams, and to me, he's going to be more like there's nobody that does his job that's practiced his job. Like Xavier Hutchinson practices Jaden Higgins' job. Justin Watson practices Jaden Higgins' job. If they don't have Berrios and they don't have Kirk, then nobody else practices slot receiver with Jaylen Noel. So going into this one, more important than Jaden Higgins, his fellow wide receiver, more important than Woody Marks, who is right now buried on the depth chart, though that's not going to last. More important than Jalen Smith, he's a depth player on the outside, and more important than everybody else from the draft class. So yeah, to me, outside of Ursary, this guy now becomes the second most important rookie, the young guy that you're going to lean on.
See, I always say that sports are fluid. It's kind of something one of my mentors, shout out to Jean-Jacques Taylor again for that. So I think right now the answer is yes, especially with Kirk out. I would say for the next couple of weeks, perhaps. But we also haven't seen how they're going to use Woody Marks. So I do think there's a possibility with how thin they are at running back where this conversation could shift towards Woody Marks. And the other thing is your production doesn't necessarily at wide receiver have to come out of the slot. So, and maybe Higgins goes inside on the slot. I think he does have another rookie that is like capable of picking up the slack, if that makes sense. So I think, I think yes, like is the answer right now, but we haven't seen how they're going to play, how they're going to handle Woody Marks. So I think it's possible that Woody Marks is the guy that we're talking about as time goes on, a little bit later on.
Sure.
By the way, speaking of Woody Marks, so yesterday the legend of Alpha Aaron was born. And I got to tell you, we talked about this yesterday. He had his own highlight tape playing as CJ Stroud was speaking at the podium. Then he pinned the mic on Woody Marks' shirt. We found out today that he was even more alpha than we thought, because not only did he pin the mic on his shirt, he pinned it across the locker room where his actual locker was. I just assumed it was Woody Marks' locker. So I even asked Woody Marks a few questions afterwards. Aaron had actually pinned it on his shirt on the opposite side of the locker room where he actually sits. This dude is just slinging them around.
Didn't even get him at his locker.
And as a result of this alphaness, we do have, for you people, and I do mean you people, the 24/7 crew, we did have Aaron Wilson record this today. You're welcome.
Hey, bro. Alpha Aaron here.
And shout out to Rich Boy J for the nickname.
Hey, bro. Alpha Aaron here.
Beast mode.
Alpha Aaron.
So whenever Aaron Wilson breaks a story,
hey, bro. Alpha Aaron here.
that's what we get.
And that's when he breaks it, right or wrong, we'll give him the credit.
He gets it. He gets it. So Alpha Aaron is a part of things now. That might have a chance to compete with Damn It Bobby. Might have a chance to compete. There's nothing that has been added to the soundboard that I think can like top
Damn It Bobby.
But that might have a chance. Might have a chance.
It's got staying power because Double A is going to stick around for a few years. Yeah,
it's a fact.
If Caley's good this year, we probably will only get maybe one more year out of Damn It, Bobby.
Fact.
You ain't never hate.
Swarm.
Wax says, greeting, gents. Looking forward to see Noel cook. We'll see.
I mean, you were one of the biggest Jaylen Noel supporters heading into the draft, and then certainly as the draft started to kind of fall the way it did, you're the first person that was like, "Hey, why don't they just go get Noel too?" And that's exactly what they did. I mean, as far as seeing him, giving him an opportunity, I mean, sucks for Christian Kirk. Yeah, you'd rather at least have that veteran option, but hey, let's see what the rookie's got right away. Right here in a situation where there's going to be some focus on Nico. So the guys that aren't Nico Collins are going to have to go out there and make some plays.
He's a sharp dude, man. Like Jaylen Noel's just a sharp dude, and he's strong and he's fast. Like he had more bench press reps than Amon-Ra St. Brown, and he was by far the fastest slot receiver. Didn't he have he had like a top 6 or 7 40 time? I'm not in draft mode anymore, but I want to say he had a top 6 or 7 40 time. So it's not like a lot of times you see these slot guys and it's like they're a little bit like deceptively fast, and they do their
agile guys than speed guys.
Yeah, I mean he had a top 6, top 7 40 time.
4.39.
Yeah, he ran a 4.39 out of the slot, and he bench pressed more than Amon-Ra St. Brown. Now Amon says his shoulder was hurt. I believe him. His dad's like Mr. Universe, and he's like been lifting weights since he was like 6 months. Might be exaggerating a little bit by a few months, but I mean that just tells you all you need to know. Like what are the question marks that you have about the guy? I think I said this at the start of the year. I think he could end up being the face of this draft class. And I think it could be a really good draft class. I think Ariante Ursary, he's your immediate starting left tackle, whether that's long-term or not, who knows? I think people like what they hear from him, and they like the makeup of him. I think Higgins is going to be good. I think Higgins is going to be a good receiver. I don't think he's going to be bad. I think he's going to be good, but I think there's a chance that 3 years from now, when SNL is getting ready for the 2028 NFL season, we're looking back at this draft and saying, damn, how the hell did they get Noel there? It always happens with slot receivers. Do you notice that? Like it always it's every time you say, damn, like when you're talking about a receiver, there's exceptions. Like there's obviously exceptions, but every time it happens, it seems like it's like, damn, how did that many receivers go ahead of Amon-Ra St. Brown? Damn, Cooper Kupp, he kind of slid. Oh, Wes Welker was undrafted. Julian Edelman, undrafted. All this, like, it always feels like guys in the slot get pigeonholed. Like Justin Jefferson. Why did Justin Jefferson go later in the draft? Oh, because he played so much in the slot. Why did Jackson Smith and Jigba fall to the 20s of the draft? Oh, because he played slot too much. It feels like those guys get pigeonholed. And you look at all the physical assets and the physical traits that Jaylen Noel has. There's none. Like there's none. It's crazy that the kid kind of was available when the Texans picked him. It's actually kind of nuts.
I went and just grabbed the bench press numbers real quick. He had 23 bench press reps. That's more than every tight end except for 2. That's more than every cornerback, every safety, and every linebacker except for 2 that were at the combine.
That's what I'm saying. Like he's a freak. He's freakishly strong.
Freak athlete right there.
Yes, he had a top 540 time, and his bench press is more than all but 2 tight ends. He's a freak.
Remember how much we talked about Tyler Booker?
Yeah.
Noel had more bench presses than him.
That's what I'm saying. And he's a good guard, like, and he's strong. Like he's a freak. He doesn't get, I guess because he's like short, but like he's a freak.
People see him and then they say, okay, this is crazy too. Cause this guy's Junior Tafuna only had 24 and Noel had 23.
I'm saying he's a freak.
I think because people see his height, they think, oh, okay, your typical slot guy, yada, yada. But he is a freak athlete. He's gonna be successful with the ball in his hands. He gets open quick. That's what you saw in the preseason. You saw it against the Texans DBs. You saw it in joint practices. You saw it in preseason games. Like he can get open fast, and that's going to be essential. Get this rock out of CJ's hands. Don't put that offensive line in precarious positions. Noel's going to be a huge piece of that.
Now, I don't know what she means by this. I'll let her speak for herself. I won't put words in her mouth. But I Must Paneline says thick with a bunch of C's. And she says, I tried to tell y'all this. Now, are we just talking about, like, what are we talking about here? What are we talking about with Jaylen Noel? Let us know. In the meantime, let's go to Z Super Chats.
You ain't never hate.
Swarm.
Roy Boy 3281 says Alpha Aaron always sounds like he's on that
high-grade marijuana called Kush on the streets.
Honestly, I think he could use some. I think he could use some because the way that he's moving with his back, I feel like Aaron could use some.
If I didn't think he'd tell everybody that we brought him some, I'd take him some Indicloud.
I know. He's just such a big mouth. He'd be like, oh, yeah, I would, if I took him some gummies, yeah, bro. He'll be talking to like
those really helped me, man. I was on the plane for 3.5 hours and I just slept.
Yeah, my back was hurting. And luckily, at practice, Landry and Cody each brought me a package of Indicloud gummies, and now I feel a lot better. They actually gave it to me in the media center, so I feel better, bro.
Bro, if Aaron Wilson ever gets arrested because he helped somebody do something bad, everyone's going down.
Oh yeah, he's snitching.
You cannot put Aaron Wilson on a heist crew because he's telling. Hey, he'll give Social Security numbers.
Yeah, he makes Tekashi 6ix9ine and Young Thug look like guys who are willing to go ride it out in jail. Evan on the super chat says, "Good afternoon, guys. Higgins in the slot or no?" I think we could see some Higgins in the slot for sure.
Yeah.
Why not? Yeah. Not all the time.
I really would like to see, if they get in the red zone, go put the big bodies out there. Throw X on one side, Nico on the other, and throw Higgins in the slot and see what you can do.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how old Nick handles his business. And I'm talking about Nick Caley. And here is my interaction with Nick Caley. They haven't sent out the FTP yet, so we're getting this from YouTube. But I said I wanted to figure this out. And I kind of wanted to nerd out and figure out if this kind of lit Nick Caley up a little bit. But he's mentioned core axioms now 3 times in the offseason. And I'm not smart enough to know really what core axioms even mean. And I don't know what they mean in regards to the Texans offense. But I asked Nick Caley about the core axioms. And this is what your OC had to say. I got to tell you, man, I like the way this guy talks, man. I like the way this guy talks. I'll let y'all decide, though, if you're with me.
You've mentioned a couple times now core axioms when talking about the offense.
Yep.
How does that? Is that like an overall theme of the offense? Is it a position by position thing? Can you talk about core axioms?
Sure.
Specifically?
Yeah, I would say specifically, it's playing smart football, not beating yourself. You can't win until you keep from losing. Okay, that's the first thing. So no pre-snap penalties, not turning over the football. That transcends every single position to me on offense. Okay. The second thing that I would say is playing fundamentally sound. Okay, there's great players in this league. We're going to go against plenty of them this week and every single week from here on out. So if you don't play with good fundamentals, you don't really give yourself the best chance to play. I believe in that to a core. That's how I was raised in this business. The staff believes in that. And so I believe in that for every single position. There's certain techniques that, the line does that may not carry over to receivers, but they both block. Okay. They both have to get a line. They both have to play with a level of urgency. And those are the things that we believe in. And then obviously being a dependable teammate and coming through and having guys trust you next to you. And that carries over into whether it's assignments, whether it's being able to be out there every single day and practicing and giving yourself a chance to get better. So those are the core axioms. I think you have to start there to have a foundation, and then you build it from there.
Develop those. Where did you develop those? Did those something that you become an offensive coordinator and you find that, or is there somewhere along the way where you develop those?
Yeah, I mean, that's been the case when I coached, almost a decade on defense too. I think that for me, that's a belief that I've had since I was a young kid. I've obviously evolved and learned through the years, college stops, New England, Sean, a lot of great coaches that I've had a fortunate opportunity, to Miko right there front and center right now. So those are things that we believe in. That's the starting point for us. And we want to go play hard, and we want to play a clean game and play physical with technique and fundamentals and start there.
All right. I mean, I don't want to put too much into a press conference, but I'm just that's Sean McVay, dude. Like, he sounds like Sean McVay.
you can't win until you keep from losing, which I that's great, because I would tell you that a good portion of the back half of the season for the Texans on offense, they were setting themselves up to fail with how they prepared every week. They set themselves up for failure with how they approach things and the things that they wanted to run, things they wanted to do, and stripping it down and creating a solid floor for this offense that you can then build on. Super important. And I've talked about this over on my channel a ton. The first goal for this offense is you got to be better than last year. Like, that's the first step you have to take. Now, there's a variety of things that go into taking that step, but you got to be better than last year. That's the first goal on a long list of goals that you have for the offense. And, you know, setting yourself up for success, keeping yourself from losing, keeping yourself from beating yourself, you know, offensive linemen blocking somebody and not looking around like they're lost, like Shaq Mason did 20 times last year. It goes a long way.
Yep, it does. And we'll see. I mean, there's going to be growing pains. There's going to be some things to maybe be aware of. I got a little more in depth on like adjustments. We'll get into that later once we get the FTP, maybe Mignana. But the plan for them, by the way, is to leave early. They're trying to fight the time zones. I don't think the Texans like time zones either. But he does believe in halftime adjustments. He does sound the part. But the reality is there's so many layers to evaluating what Nick Caley is going to be, and it can't all be decided on one game, can't be all decided in one quarter. And I think it sounds like he understands that, but we'll see what Nick Caley does and how he looks.
Well, they're fighting the time zones. Quick, Landry, what time is it in Los Angeles right now?
2:34.
Okay, what time is it in New York?
5:34.
What about Las Vegas?
They stay off sometimes they get weird but it's 2:34. I know that.
What about Denver?
3:35.
Yep.
No. Yeah, 3:35 maybe Mountain Time. Yeah.
Now, what about Phoenix? Nah, see, I don't even know in Phoenix because they do the weird thing where they're not always daylight saving or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, it's really 4:35. Like I don't change my watch. It stays at 4:35. It doesn't matter whatever they want to say it is. It's 4:35. I go on Central Time Zone. Period. Point blank. Into story. Bye. Back to the soup. Andrew Lowe says can't wait to watch the Crash Out crew, trademark, dominate this Rams offense. Okay.
That's what some people are calling the secondary.
Okay. I meant to ask Kalen Bullock if there was a nickname. I think we'll talk to Kamari Lassiter tomorrow, perhaps. But I don't know what their nickname is or is not. So I don't know if they've given themselves one yet.
But I guess it was listener Scott sent us a mic'd up a Bullock where he said maybe D block. So I don't know. It'd be interesting. And Kamari Lassiter looked like he was. I mean, he ran out of there today. I don't know what. I guess he thought he was about to be popular today.
He's focused.
You ain't never hate.
Swarm.
Emerson Malcolm says, guys, hey, nobody's talking about, okay? For the entire season, the Texans have to have home field advantage throughout to get to or win the AFC Championship. I mean, it's much easier to host the AFC Championship game than go to Kansas City, Baltimore, or Buffalo. The days of like a dome team having home field advantage are over. So the climate factors in. And I think the climate does matter. That's the problem. When you look at those elite teams, there's a big climate thing.
I mean, Will Anderson said this very thing in the exit interview last year. He said,
yeah, he took some shots at the Titans and Jets.
We got to stop losing to the Titans. We got to stop losing to the Jets, and we got to make sure things go through NRG Stadium. And you know what? If you're of the opinion that Malcolm is, where things have to go through NRG Stadium, then Sunday is one of those flip games. Sunday is one of those games that you very much need to put in the win column to make sure that things do go through NRG Stadium. So it's the first of many of those, like, hey, this really needs to be in the win column if you want everything to go through NRG. It starts on Sunday.
Fact. Jacob on the soup. He asks, What are the core axioms of the SNL show? I will say, for me,
We just
core
learned
axi-
what that means today. So
the core axioms of the SNL show are journalism background, entertainment background, broadcast background, closely following the team, and mixing those in without completely sacrificing one of the previously mentioned four.
localize it is another axiom.
Yeah, localize it, man. We're not going to sit here and break down. I mean, if some, yeah, localize it is like the number one mindset of it always. We're here because it's local. I could not stand when I was in radio when we're like breaking down the Cowboys. You can do an around the NFL segment and say it, but no, that's not why we have jobs. It's just not it. But yeah, localize it for sure. Didn't quite present those as good as Nick Caley, but you know what? If Nick Caley can be better at his job than us, then it's good for all parties involved.
To be fair, we're just figuring out the usefulness of axioms today. Like you've been thinking about them for a few days because Kaylee's talked about them, but the way he laid them out and explained them, now we know what to look for when we're building the SNL axioms.
All right, now let's ask this question: from 1 to 5, what is your confidence level in Nick Caley? We're hacking out with our sack out.
4.
Okay, 4. Yeah, it's
4.
good.
4. I believe in him. I don't know that I fully believe in the 11 guys that are always going to be on the field that he's coaching, but I believe in him. When I put together the offensive coordinator list, this was my guy. This was my guy at the top. This is who I wanted them to hire. This is who I felt like was going to be the best hire. And here they are. They have this guy. So I'd be foolish to say 5 because he's a first timer and there's going to be some growing pains, but I like the way that he talks about the team. I like the way that he talks about football. I like what I've seen from the offense in the bits that we have been able to see. 4.
So you say you like the way that he talks about the team. I don't disagree with you, but I like the way the team sounds when they're kind of talking about him or representing him. I like the way that the offensive line sounds. I like the way that CJ Stroud sounds. That's what I like. The wide receivers, Nico Collins has sounded the same through all 4 coaches he's played, 3-4 coaches, whatever that he's played for. So, but I think I feel like there's like a different feel with Nick Caley, specifically on the O-line. So I'll say I'm probably a 4.25. Does that mean that I think that everything is going to be perfect right off the top? I think there's some limitations. So I think it's got to be graded on somewhat of a curve, but I like that. And it feels like they respect Nick Caley. And I think it's very important because I don't feel like they respected Bobby Slowick at the end of the year. And you can kind of hear it with some of the shots that Bobby is getting. The other thing with like from the CJ perspective that I think I circled back to this yesterday when we were at the press conference, and I forgot to jot it in my notes, but it just now came back to me. Did you catch when CJ was like talking about how you don't just try to leave a quarterback out to dry, like talking about practice? And last year at camp, we kept hearing Bobby Slowick basically say, and I think D'Amico to a certain point, that almost like you wanted to make the quarterback's life miserable and like challenge him. Like, you remember when we were talking about that? Like, it was like, you try to make him extremely uncomfortable and you try to challenge him. And it was like, man, like, he's not even like getting passes off. Like, this does not seem like it's like very enjoyable. It does feel like they practiced a little bit different to where CJ Stroud could still get sacked, but the play could go on, which was what I asked about how you evaluate. Cause there were 2 layers of plays. It seemed like the whistle was a little bit looser this year as opposed to last year because you need to practice everything. Like if they just blew the whistle when there was a sack, then CJ Stroud's not going to get any work in. And he was able to get it this year. So I did feel like that was something else interesting that CJ brought up and that we kind of spoke on last year during camp.
No doubt.
More worry for the O-line or the running backs? This is an interesting question because you can kind of connect these two things.
It's sort of a loaded question because the O-line will dictate a lot of times how the running backs are. But I like to believe that the SNL viewership is smart enough to understand the question I'm asking.
I would say that I'm more concerned about the backs just because we haven't seen the way Nick Caley's going to use these guys, specifically receiving. And I don't know how much I trust Dameon Pierce and how much I trust Nick Chubb at this point. And I don't know if maybe the sudden fascination that I've developed for Woody Marks has as much to do with how good he can be or the fact that I'm watching that his surroundings are what they are.
Yeah, to me, really the only player that I have confidence to make a consistent impact at some point this season in the running back room is Woody Marks. Because Chubb and Pierce have significant injury histories for the past couple of seasons. Chubb's obviously an older player that's been through a lot physically the past couple of years. And Pierce, we saw him for one joint practice and a couple of snaps in a preseason game. That's it. It's like I'd love to tell you that rookie Dameon Pierce is going to run out there, but I haven't seen rookie Dameon Pierce since Lovie Smith was walking around on the sidelines. So I don't have a lot of confidence in those players. I do believe, based on what I've seen from Woody Marks, there's a chance he can be consistently impactful at running back. And I just feel like there's a chance for this O-line to end up as enough on enough occasions that they can get something done on offense.
Yeah, I don't think there's a wrong answer to this question, really. Like I think extreme optimism in either one of these areas would be based on really nothing that we've seen and nothing that we know. It would just be based on excitement and optimism that really has no substance yet. So I don't really think there's a wrong answer to this either way. I do think I don't think it's too loaded. I think it's a good question because we saw last year with Mixon that the running back can make the O-line better. That's one of the biggest myths, by the way, is like whenever you hear, well, no running back could run behind this O-line. And sometimes that may be somewhat true, but I mean, a good back can get more yards than a bad back. And like, it's kind of easy to understand. So if this O-line performs like last year and none of these running backs are capable of doing what Joe Mixon did, then it is somewhat concerning. Or if Nick Caley's not keeping the defense on their toes enough, like in the quick game and the short game, then that's kind of a concern. I guess in a crazy way, Cody, you can kind of just connect this, as we can pretty much everything that we talk about on this side of the rock, to Nick Caley. Like it all goes back to old Nick. Nick. Because we don't know what his style is. And I thought BNMA, DJ asked him, is there any advantage in that? And he goes, no, we don't know what they're going to do either. I don't know that I necessarily agree with him on that. I think you have a decent idea of what the Rams are going to do on defense. You for damn sure have a better idea about what they may do on defense than what you may do on offense. We don't have any clue. Unless Sean McVay is just like some sort of mastermind, and anyone who gets in within 10 feet of him, he immediately can realize what the hell they're going to do. But I kind of disagreed with him on that. I get kind of what he's saying, and he's kind of trying to minimize it. But I would say the mystery of Nick Caley, for better or worse, is at the very least an extreme unknown that makes it harder for the Rams defense to prepare for him than it does for him to prepare for the Rams.
If you're preparing for Nick Caley right now, you had to watch everything. You had to watch stuff from when he was on the sidelines in New England. You had to watch stuff from when he was on the sidelines with the Rams. And then you had to do a lot of guessing. Like these coaches, we don't know what they're going to do. Yeah, but you've got years of tape on Shula, their DC. Like you got an idea of what he wants to do. You got an idea of of what those players on the defense for the Rams like to do. Like you gotta. I mean, they may do some things you haven't seen, but they haven't seen anything from Nick Caley. A couple of preseason games, some very vanilla, basic stuff. Like you have to be prepared for everything going against Nick Caley because he may throw anything at you. You have no idea what's going to be the bread and butter for this team. Maybe the bread and butter is simple. It's getting the ball to Nico Collins, which way you can. Maybe the bread and butter is the quick game. Maybe the bread and butter is, the play action. Like you just have to get ready for everything. So I'm with you. He downplayed that, but it's a few week advantage for the Houston Texans offense that you can't guess what Nick Caley's got going.
And I mean, maybe the meat and potatoes is Nico Collins and CJ Stroud. Maybe we're just kind of overthinking this and we're kind of, I mean, I don't want to say that I don't have a large amount of respect for what those guys do, but we don't really, despite even being close to the situation, and maybe it has to do with the fact that Nico misses time, and we all know that. So it's one of those things where you don't completely depend on it. But whenever he's on the field, and I don't think you can say that if he had played this many games because it just hadn't happened. Now, it hadn't happened with Stingley last year. Someone brought up a real good observation and said, well, you were saying last year that Stingley was going to miss games. Yeah, because I had a half decade of data, just like I do with Nico Collins. Like if it happens, that's a pleasant surprise. But I do wonder, and it seems like it's been like a popular pick with like the fantasy nerds. And like, I think the most popular bet in Vegas right now, prop wise, from what I've seen, is 8-1 Nico Collins to lead the league in yards. Like I've no lie, I've seen at least 5 guys say that that's like their season prop that they're that they're willing to roll the dice on. And it's no different than betting on Derek Stingley last year to be defensive player of the year, which I did. With all this talk about the offensive line, with all this talk about the slot receivers, with all this talk about Nick Caley, with all this talk about Bobby Slowick, with all this talk about like a new culture and a new mindset and all that type of stuff, running backs, everything else, through all the BS from Bobby to now, there's been one thing that's been constant with the Texans. Whenever Nico Collins is on the field, him and CJ Stroud are one of the best duos in the NFL. So maybe we just need to be simple and get the country crock and the old white bread and realize what the bread and butter is instead of looking through all this grainy shit in the bread aisle and this fancy ass butter that has, I don't know what the hell in it. So maybe it's as simple as CJ Stroud and Nico Collins take you home. And the rest the rest is just a little accessory. Maybe you can throw some jelly on the toast. Like maybe it's just a lot.
Hold
more
on, now you're speaking my language.
What kind of jelly? It's always grape jelly, brother.
Oh,
it's always grape jelly, brother.
Look at your closed-mindedness and your closed-mindedness with your palate. You ever had apple jelly? You go over to Kelly's Country Kitchen, get you some apple jelly, throw it on the biscuit. Ooh, man, I tell you.
Can't say I have. On the soup.
You ain't never hate.
Swarm.
Risque Barber, over 12 attempts for Nick Chubb, minus 121 thoughts. Damn, I don't know how this committee is going to work. 12, though?
I feel like 12. I mean, he could have 12 at halftime.
Damn, you think Bobby's still here?
I mean, you gotta run at this defensive line a couple of times, at least keep them honest. You can't let them go tee off on Ursery and Titus.
He is RB1. You just got to wonder if they're like looking to free Damian Pierce or free Woody Marks. I don't know. I don't know how this committee looks, but 12, man, that is a very, very good job by the handicapper, whoever the hell picked that up.
Man,
put the imaginary gun to my head.
I'll take the over.
I'll take
bang bang. Cactus Jack.
I'll take the under. I'll take the under. By the way, Frank Ross today, I put the over under on the opening statement at 1 minute 45 seconds. Cody had the stopwatch out. It was
108.
Yeah.
108.
Big L there.
A lot of love for Chase Blackburn, though, as we expected, when the special teams coach for the Rams, who was a special teams guy before he played a little bit more for the Giants. But I mean, as far as like the rushing game, and like at some point, you've got to let Ursery go out there and try to maul Jared Verse in the run game. Like Verse is the pass rush guy. Like this is not do it all like Will Anderson does.
No, and a lot of pass rush guys you want to run at. Like that's always some people did that to JJ. Some people did that to JJ.
Put all 6'6", 340 of Ariante Ursery headed downhill at Jared Verse, get Chubb running behind him, and go teach Jared Verse a couple lessons there in the run game. And keep him honest so that he's not teeing off on Ursery and pass rush.
Jared Verse, crappy football player. You heard it here first from Cody Stutz.
That's what I said.
Kyle Nance on the soup says, time for afternoon naps, everyone. I usually like to take one after this. If my daughter's asleep, she's kind of wired up right now, though. She's kind of gassed up. I don't know. Zach Rose says, this is harsh, Zach. We love you, Zach. This is harsh. He says, Pierce is the offensive equivalent to D'Angelo Ross. All the trust and faith with no results.
Damn.
Well, you might be onto something because Nick Caserio did mention D'Angelo Ross when talking about the running back committee without Joe Mixon. So maybe Nick Caserio agrees with you.
Damn.
That's mean, though. We at least have seen something from Dameon Pierce. That's mean. I'm just kidding, Zach.
Well, and when Pierce has been good the past couple of years when he's had some special teams opportunities. He hadn't got it done when he's been on offense, which is a D'Angelo Ross thing. He's had some really good moments on special teams, but when he had to play defense, Jordan Love had a perfect passer rating when targeting him in Green Bay last year.
Little Jesus has a question. He says, off topic, but I enjoyed Cody's food talk. I would ask Cody how he likes his nachos. Well, he eats hot dogs with just cheese, so this is going to be funny when he has loaded nachos. Plain, just cheese and chips, or loaded with vegetables and some sort of protein, maybe sour cream in the mix.
Well, I like to have ground beef on the nachos, but it's got to be like almost that. Like I don't want a bunch of like loose ground beef. Like I want sort of like that Taco Bell ground beef consistency. If not, give me chicken.
So you want the taco seasoning pack in there with a little bit of extra oomph in it. Okay.
Yeah. And then I like a lot of pico on mine, a good amount of sour cream. If there's multiple cheeses, that's great. And I prefer liquid cheese to like melted shredded cheese.
Hood rat nachos are one of my favorite foods. But I'm with you. Like there's a certain level to if you're going to have the cheese on there. Hood rat nachos are where you just get some chips, you throw the cheese on there, you throw the jalapenos on there, you throw the meat on there. By the way, the go-to now for my hood rat nachos is the HEB roasted chicken where you just break it up and you sprinkle the chicken on the nachos. And then you just put it in the microwave for 130. 130, just let it crisp up. Got to get the thick Mexican cheese, though. You have to get the thick Mexican cheese, not the thin, the thick. Sprinkle it on the chips. Top with sour cream, pico, the cold stuff after. Boom, boom.
Is the chat ready for me to piss off Landry in record time here as I bring up a nacho offshoot? You ever had Italian nachos?
Dude. Those are so dumb.
Shut up. You're a liar.
Those are so dumb.
You get some salami, you get the fried wontons as the chips.
Terrible.
Some olives, some
awful.
Mozzarella cheese.
This is terrible.
I love Italian nachos.
This is a disgrace, man. This is a disgrace. I can get down with a Mexican pizza, but that's a disgrace right there.
Love me some Italian nachos.
Thad Ball says, is RB1 week 1 RB1 week 2? That's a good question. So will Nick Chubb be the lead back in week 2 as well? That's basically what he's asking.
If healthy, I would assume that he is, yes.
Yeah, because I don't necessarily know that they look at it as this guy's for sure going to get the most carries, but I just feel like there's a big amount of trust in Nick Chubb to where they love him, man. Like we can say that he doesn't look like his old self. They love him now. So it's kind of where they're at. I don't think you're getting as much support on the Italian nachos, but hey, it's a little bit.
It's out there. It's an out there thing.
Yeah, it's a little bit it's a little bit much for me.
You know what I really wish more people had was breakfast nachos.
Too much, brother. You're doing too much. You're doing too much, man.
I just want to
That's a
step out on the limb sometimes.
well, you kind of want your breakfast food, unless you're like someone who goes and sits at a diner or sits at a table, you kind of want it to be like more portable. Right? So you can
Well, if I'm going to sit down and have breakfast, I'm going to sit down and have breakfast.
nachos though. So you're gonna eat chips for breakfast?
Well, no, I would want like, little pieces of biscuit. Like
All
little
right.
triangles of biscuits. But put some gravy and some cheese on them.
All right.
Eggs on them.
I was wrong when I said you were doing too much on the Italian nachos. Now you're definitely doing too much.
There's someone out there is going to make breakfast nachos. And it's going to be a big deal somewhere. And, I just remember when you heard the idea first here on SNL.
Okay. There we go. All right. Speaking of food, Spanky's. We did the test today. It went well. We're good to go. Spanky's, Sharpstown location, Telephone Road. It's going to be fun. Next Friday, 4:00.
Bellaire Boulevard.
They're ready for us. We're ready for them. The food looks great. It is the most amazing prices that I've seen. And this is a place that makes their own sauces. They come in every morning. They make the ranch. They make the pizza sauce. They make the dough. They got the stuffed crust pizza. They got the thin crust pizza. They got the New York style pizza. They got the gluten-free pizza. They got all types of toppings. They got sandwiches. They got wings. They got apps. They got salads. They got a full bar, which is badass. Cody was looking at that watermelon margarita. And they got history. They got half. They're about to be up on a half a century. This is multiple generations. It is one of the standards. It is a privilege to get to represent Spanky's, and it's going to be fun. And by the way, speaking of local things, if you've dog cussed this guy before, or you love this guy, John McClain's going to be there with us next week, and he's going to roll with the posse. He used to bring the posse to 610 remotes. The OGs, they will be there. So if you want to meet me and Cody, awesome. If you want to win some prizes and eat some great food, awesome. If you want to meet John McClain, he'll be out there as well. And there might be a few more people outside of him, but McClain will be joining us. If you've ever said anything bad about him, just tell him. He'll laugh. He doesn't care.
It's going to be a fantastic time. They're excited to have everybody out. We're excited to see everybody, hang out with you, and have some fun giveaways. Going to be able to hang out with the McClainer. Some other fun people going to show up, and we'll hang out, have some delicious food, drink some ice cold beer, and talk some Texans football. It'll be after this Rams game. It'll be before that Monday night home opener, and it's going to be a fun time. You cannot miss this. And if you miss it, we'll be back at Spanky's again in the future, but don't miss this first one. Don't miss this.
Got people making the commute from Baytown. We'll be there. Come by, say hi. We look forward to it. It's going to be fun. Next Friday, 4:00. Spanky's, 7118 Bellaire Boulevard. We look forward to it. Appreciate y'all for showing some love. Wags has a random question now. Who is Maverick? Who is Goose? Is that's Top Gun, right?
Top Gun,
I saw the second Top Gun, and then I went back and watched the first one. So
how boring was the first one after watching the second one?
Sucked. Although the song kind of saves it. The one that they play throughout. That's kind of forget what it was. What's the song they play in that? Like
Danger Zone?
No, not that one. The other one.
Yeah. Like the love song.
Yeah, whatever that was. But which one's Goose is the one who died, right?
Correct. Yes.
Yeah, that's you.
Thanks.
I mean, I don't know who's Maverick and Goose. You can be. All right, I'll die. Fine.
I also have the mustache like Goose. So.
All right, so you can be Goose. I'll be Maverick.
It lends itself that way.
But I don't.
About
Maverick is Tom Cruise, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not a Scientologist though. Cody's the one that practices Scientology, so I.
Oh no! Don't put that on me. Don't put that. No, sir. No, sir.
Cody's
watched-
the one-
I watched
Cody jumped on
Leo-
Oprah's couch. Cody jumped on Oprah's couch.
No,
Cody jumps on couches like Tom Cruise.
no, sir. I am not a Scientologist.
Doyle, if you are, we don't care. Doyle Keister says,
I mean,
you kind of care?
a little bit.
All right. Yeah, I'm just trying to keep the audience pure. I don't know how big our Scientology group is. So I'm just trying. I'm trying
SNL,
to satisfy
number
everyone.
1 podcast with Scientologists.
No, now we're just going too far. Doyle says, now I have to go to the store for nacho stuff. God, that's so fun. It's so fun shopping for nacho stuff. I'm telling you, man, the roasted chicken at the front, which, by the way, all these fast food deals and everything like that, where they're like, oh, you can get an $8. The $6 roasted chicken, $7 whatever roasted chicken is like multiple meals. I've gotten to where I make tacos out of that on like low carb tortillas, or I use it in the nachos. I'll put it in some broth and put some veggies in it. Like it's an all purpose thing. But yeah, make the roasted chicken nachos. You won't regret it. Charles says, good afternoon. Good afternoon, my man.
Good to see you.
It's a hard hat Charles in the building. Wag says, what's y'all's brunch spot? First watch. I don't really have a brunch spot. My brunch days are kind of over. I will wake up every once in a while and crack open some cold ones on a Saturday and just kind of do my thing. But I usually don't really have like a go-to brunch per se. Cody's still kind of in his brunch phase a little bit. He'll brunch out.
No, I go to Piggy's sometimes for brunch, but that's about it. I don't have a lot of brunch is. There's a lot of stuff that just gets overcharged for brunch that could just very simply be on a regular lunch menu.
If you want a fancy ass brunch, I think B&B is the way to go. And if I were you, I'd order the club sandwich. It's a steal. It's less than $20. I've told you about the like 80-year-old that had all 20-year-old chicks around him that ordered it and was like a regular. Yeah. So if you go to B&B, a lot of people order the steak, all that. Get the club sandwich. Sit at the bar. Get the club sandwich. Kyle says Cody's been replaced by a clone. Died on that plane. Scientology-ish. It's a fact.
That's not true.
That's what happened.
That did not happen.
Who was
Rich boy? I did not see you at a Scientology meeting the other night. Stop saying this.
So who was that? Wasn't it Stacey Carosi or the chick from what's the show that Kevin James was in?
King of Queens, Leela Remini.
Yeah, wasn't she like the one that did like a whole Scientology documentary?
Yeah, they hate her. Or Leah Remini, I think. Remini.
She quit, right? And then she did
Yeah,
it. She was Stacey Carosi in Saved by the Bell. Her dad owned that club that they worked at that one year.
Yeah, she was like in Scientology, and then she bailed, and then did the big exposing Scientology thing on A&E.
Okay, and she's like got to be kind of paranoid now.
Yeah, so the one thing she talked about at length is they put you like on a list of people that they don't associate with and they don't want to talk to, and she claimed there was some following her home and hanging around outside her house and all sorts of stuff.
All right, so to recap what we observed today, practice. By the way, Danico Autry might not be too far off. Might not be too far off. I'll just say. Just a little thought, maybe. I think he might be close.
He's out at least 4 weeks. So
yeah, but I mean, did you anticipate him coming back in 5?
I don't anticipate him coming back. So
okay. There you go. There's your shot called. Then we had Nick Caley. He took us through the core axioms. Nothing really else from the other coordinators. And then Jaylen Noel says he's ready. Outside of that, not really much from the locker room. I did think Azeez Al-Shire had a really good reference about captaining. Daria Gumbawale basically said, ho hum. Azeez Al-Shire said, yeah, it's like being a good parent. You can have kids, but you got to be a good parent. That's the difference between having the C on your chest and not. I thought it was a good quote that Azeez gave.
Azeez has some. I mean, he
doesn't.
He has some really good quotes. He does not waste words, and he more often than not he gives you something to walk away with when he talks.
Lassiter has some bangers too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he just says them real naturally. But yeah, that's what we learned. Tomorrow, we'll get the final injury report. We will break that down. Careful dissing Scientology. Them boys sue. We're not dissing anything. Different strokes for different folks. Shout out to them. Appreciate y'all for rolling through. Be sure to subscribe. Be sure to like. Be sure to ride along. And also be sure to be at Spanky's 2 Fridays from now. We're excited about it. You should be too. Also, if you haven't subscribed to the Texans Collective with myself, Cody, Reggie, and Sean Pendergast, do that as well.
In the description, you can join Landry's Survivor League and you can join my Survivor League. So the
Winner
description
gets a
is down
signed
there.
jersey in mine. Winner gets a signed jersey in mine.
Damn.
Yeah. About yours.
I've not determined the grand prize yet.
All right. Always remember, whether you're cheap or not, when it comes to this Texans,
Yeah, but everybody who beats me gets something in mine.
we're all in it together.
Eat good, sleep good, be good. We'll talk Texans again soon. Thanks for watching, everybody.
An attaboy or girl does not count as something, by the way, you slime ball.
Like it's something.